Hello, veteran. Welcome to this video. I am assuming that you are perhaps a 100% permanent and total veteran. If not, maybe perhaps you are hoping one day. But before I get into today's video, I want to share with you just briefly what's the inspiration for this channel. Well, there's actually two reasons. The first reason is I have a very good friend who I served in Iraq with, and he has been suffering for many years, well over a decade. And he has zero interest in visiting any VA hospital, filling out any VA forms, or even speaking with the VSO about his medical conditions. Now, I have tried to help my friend as much as possible. I know the steps and things he needs to do in order to submit his claims or even get the process going. However, there's only so much that I can do for him. And I know that there are unfortunately many veterans out there who are suffering and who also don't want to visit any doctors or fill out any forms or dig up any documentation. And this is truly unfortunate because this is what is necessary in order for them to get their benefits and more than likely compensation. So I hope that through these videos, I can perhaps inspire veterans who are in this situation to take the next step in order for them to get the benefits and perhaps compensation that they have earned. The second reason for this channel is because a friend of mine who is a combat Iraq war veteran who gave basically gave away $6,000 of money that should be in his pocket by utilizing an organization that helped him in submitting his claims. Now, $6,000 is a lot of money. He earned that money. And it's unfortunate that I didn't know that he was in this process. But once I heard his story and knew that there were many other veterans who were giving away a good chunk of compensation that should be in their pocket for their family, this was an unfortunate thing. And so these are the reasons for this channel. So I hope that you will support this channel, subscribe, like, and also share this information with other veterans so that they also perhaps, or maybe in that situation where it's just so confusing to submit claims, or maybe in their local area, there's not an available VSO, whatever the situation may be. So thank you for watching, and just wanted to share that briefly with you. So let's get into the topic of this video. And the topic is the worst decisions that a veteran who is 100% permanent and total. Of course, these are subjective, and the name of my channel is Situation Dictates. As we say in the military, situation dictates. Everybody's situation is different, and the amount of the variables or the options that veterans could be in are in the thousands and hundreds of thousands, right? There are millions of situations that veterans find themselves in. And if you are 100%, that means in you have sustained injuries during your military service that have warranted 100%, which means that you have conditions that you've suffered from. And so I want to share this with you here right now. So one of the worst decisions is immediately quitting your job. And quitting your job. I know that for many veterans, perhaps they were in a situation where they absolutely hated their job, hated their situation, and So let's just say worst decision is quitting or is quit your job. And I know that there are many situations where veterans are in a situation that they are in a career, in a job that they absolutely hate. And now that they're 100% permanent total, they can quit their job and allow the compensation to cover what they were making. I believe that this is one of the worst decisions a veteran can make, in that when it comes to improving the quality of your life as a veteran. Now, as I mentioned, and I want to emphasize this, I understand everybody's situation is different. But what I want to encourage you to do is to maintain your job, maintain your employment for as long as you possibly can, in helping you to have a fulfilling career, whatever that, or having that fulfilling career, having that gainful employment while receiving this compensation. I know, and I have heard from many people that this new compensation is a life changer, and that more than likely is right. Everybody's situation is different. It could be a spouse who wasn't able to work, or the veteran not able to work. Things come up in a veteran's life, right, and it becomes this lifeline. And so, in this first point, I think one of the worst decisions you can make, granted, if you are able and fully capable of working, I want to encourage you to keep working while you're receiving this compensation, so that you can, one, first and foremost, pay off any and all debt. Debt is a life killer. Debt is one of those things that any and all, pay off any and all, right? Pay off any debt. I don't pay off all debt. And debt is a life killer. It sucks you dry when every month the debt keeps piling up. The debt is just something that's you have to take care of every month. And so when quitting your job, that then makes it more difficult to pay off that debt. And when you can sustain employment and utilize your compensation each month to pay off that debt, that's going to improve the quality of your life. Because if you suffer from anxiety or depression or any of these things, eliminating debt can alleviate that in your life. And so this is very important, because I want veterans to improve their life, and when it comes to improving their life, you've got to remove any and all debt. So if you can, I think the worst decisions is quitting your job, and I know there's some sense of freedom in that, but think of your situation, and your situation dictates. Think of your situation and see where you can continue to um, stay employed while and receiving your compensation to get rid of and paying off all debt, right? So now one important thing is that there's good debt, right? And then there's bad debt. And good debt is, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a business and you need a truck for that business. And that truck is allowing you to run your business, and that equipment is making you more money than what is costing you to have that truck or equipment. So let's say your truck is $500 a month, but you're making, you know, $15,000 a month. That debt, not necessarily a big deal. So that's the good debt. Whatever it is that you have debt on, it's making you more money. Now, really think about that debt, because oftentimes if you don't maybe have a successful business or a business making money and you need that truck, there's that risk, right? There's that risk, just like having a business is a risk. But just think of good debt and bad debt. Now, bad debt is the opposite, right? Debt is anything that is not bringing you in money to cover the debt, the interest off each month. And this is so important to note because it'll go into my next worst decision veterans can make who are 100% permanent total is understanding that the difference between the two. Now, paying off debt 100% is always going to be, well, I shouldn't say always, situation dictates, right? There are some ways to maneuver debt or utilize debt in a good way that benefits your life, that it's not all debt is bad debt. But most Americans are suffering from consumer debt. And that leads me to my next worst decision is making big purchases. Making big purchases that are not needed. And what are these? What are these big purchases? I think you know what I'm referring to. Perhaps just a bigger truck, which isn't really necessary, right? A jet ski, a motorcycle, four-wheeler, these sorts of things that are fun. Now, if you're making money from these things, of course, right? If it's cheaper for you to, not necessarily safer to get a motorcycle, those are things, but pay those off, right? Those things if you already have them. Now, I know it's like, well, I'm going to buy this and then I'm going to pay it off. I get it. But it's still making these big purchases when they're not necessarily needed. And so what I encourage veterans to do or to think about, right, this financial intelligence, where oftentimes veterans will receive back pay, which can be in the thousands of dollars. And they immediately go and make a big purchase, and it's not necessary. It's not needed. It's wanted, right? We want those big things. It brings us some temporary joy and relief. But if you think about these big purchases that need insurance, right, that need maintenance, right, these big purchases that need insurance and maintenance, and then the time throughout the year that you can actually utilize the boats, the jet skis, the four-wheelers, the motorcycle, you're paying money out of pocket during the months that you can't even utilize it because of the weather, right? So I think this is another one of the worst decisions somebody can make, a veteran, not only a veteran can make, but anyone can make when, right? Oftentimes people right now in this day and age are struggling and making and saving money where they're quitting their job, they're making big purchases, and yet do not have a minimum of 6 to 12 months of savings to cover all living expenses. This is the most important reason to not quit your job or make these big purchases when there is no 6 to 12 months of living expenses, where having that savings will alleviate you from so much stress and anxiety, more so than I know these big purchases will, when it's exciting to get that four-wheeler, it's exciting to get that bigger truck, it's exciting for those things. But when you look at the true cost in the quality of your life, and when something comes up, a financial issue comes up, and there is nothing to cover it, that's where we cause these issues in our life. So this is all about helping veterans to have a good quality life. And I encourage you to think about these decisions that you make when you receive this compensation that you have earned and how you can use it to benefit or to improve your life. Build a solid career, build some skills that will help, that will allow you to continue to make more money while receiving this compensation so that you can pay off any and all debt, even good debt, right? But there is that difference between good debt and bad debt. If you truly want to improve the quality of your life, get rid of debt. Debt holds you back so much that we often neglect how important it is to eliminate debt from our life. And then making these big purchases. I know veterans who, we want the big trucks, we want these toys, and I get it. But the thing that can help you in your life and the quality of your life and help in your family's life is to make sure you have those minimum 6 months, but preferably 12 months or more in savings to cover all living expenses so that if anything comes up, you are going to be okay. And this is where you want those 12 months of savings so that in the event that you lose a job, you're able to get another one while this compensation is coming into your life, or it comes monthly to you. So look at these two big decisions, right? Quitting your job and making big purchases, right? So I think these are two of the worst decisions that veterans can make when they receive 100% permanent and total. They know that this money is going to be coming in each month. They can then make these these purchases that have these monthly outgoing, right? When it comes to good and bad, the bad is where the money's coming out of your pocket, right? That's bad debt. Every month, money's coming out of your pocket, and that thing that's the money's coming out of, it's not bringing money into, as I use the example of a truck that's making you thousands of dollars per month. It takes $500 to maintain that truck or to pay the payment. It's also good to pay that off as soon as possible, because if that truck is making you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, then that $500 or $1,000, whatever that truck and equipment is costing you, that's more money in your pockets where you're paying these things off as soon as possible. So really, it's unfortunate that you are in a situation where your military service has caused you to have these injuries that warrant 100% permanent total. And as I've shared before in another video, is yes, this should be for the rest of your life. But we don't know, right? We don't know. It should be, but I don't want any veteran to be 60, 70 years old and something comes and happens where this money is not a certainty every month. And yes, there are people who have had 100% be taken away because they stopped going to the doctor, they stopped getting their medications, they stopped getting treatment, right? So I want to strongly encourage you to think about these two decisions. And hopefully, if you're watching this before you achieve 100% permanent total, really consider these decisions when you do achieve this level, right? Think about how this money can now be utilized to put away in savings to get you to that 12-month mark where all living expenses will be covered if in the event that you or a spouse is unable to work, right? And there's no added stress or anxiety in your life. You served your country, you've done well, and you are now in this situation. So hopefully you're able to continue to work and find something that you enjoy, but keep that job as long as possible so that you can then pay off your debt and have 12, if not more, months of savings so that you can reassure that you are in a great position to take care of you and your family. All right. So once again, think about these two things that I have shared here. If you are in the process of filing your claims, I have a guide where you can avoid the top 10 mistakes that get veterans denied their VA benefits. So head on over to situationdictateshq.com and sign up for this guide where I share the 10 biggest mistakes that veterans make in getting their VA claims denied. So go ahead and check that out. If you've learned something, appreciate your support and also in sharing this video with other veterans. Definitely want veterans to be financially sound, financially intelligent, and I hope there is more information helping veterans to look at this as a way to improve their financial life, and it be something to improve their life and not something that it's just this idea that it's for the rest of their life, although it should and most likely will be. Just don't want it to be so dependent where if they don't receive this compensation, it will dramatically, um, you know, be a huge stress if not. But to utilize this to improve your financial situation, and improving your financial situation is getting out of all bad debt, really getting out of all debt, and really having a minimum of 6 months, more like 12 or more months of savings to cover all living expenses. If in the event that you or a spouse are not working or something happens with the economy, no matter what it may be, but that you as a veteran will be okay. And this is your opportunity. All right. So once again, appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a good one.